Good day, class! Welcome again dito sa klase natin sa Construction Materials and Testing, CE 313. So, for today, we will discuss the last topic, which is all about wood. Wood. Wood is a porous and fibrous structural tissue found in the stems and roots of trees and other woody plants. It is an organic material, a natural composite of cellulose fibers that are strong in tension and embedded in a matrix of lignin that resists compression. So, ibig sabihin, class, yung wood is meron siyang cellulose fibers that are good in tension. Meron din siyang embedded na matrix of lignin na nakaka-resist ng compression. Kaya, no wonder, madalas ginagamit natin yung wood sa construction, lalo na nung una pang panahon na wala pa tayong mga reinforced concrete. Ngayon, class, ano ba yung cellulose fibers and lignin? So, para ma-visualize natin siya, so, dito, class, we have a figure. So, ibig sabihin yung cellulose ay dito sa loob. Okay? Yung lignin naman, itong outer part na to. So, para mas madali pa nating maintindihan, i-compare natin siya dito sa isang reinforced concrete. Ibig sabihin lang, class, yung ating cellulose, siya yung nagsisilbing steel bars, kung saan siya ay good for tension. Ngayon naman, itong lignin, okay, siya naman yung concrete dito sa ating reinforced concrete, which is good naman sa compression. Okay? So, wood is one of the oldest known materials of construction, and skill in its use combined with the understanding of its nature have together produced many satisfactory solutions for structural and design problems throughout the ages. So, alam naman natin, class, na noong unang panahon, wood lang yung ginagamit natin madalas sa construction. Kaya nga makikita natin noong unang panahon, made of wood lang yung kadalasang mga bahay. So, in addition, to its usefulness as a material for structural and applied design, because of its relative cheapness, wood has also fulfilled a role capacity of temporary structure, allowing materials such as concrete to be erected in structural forms, which would otherwise have been vulnerable in the stage before the binding medium gained strength. So, ibig sabihin lang, class, nung temporary structure, tinatawag din natin yun na false work. So, yung false work consists of temporary structure used in construction to support a permanent structure until its construction is sufficiently advanced to support itself. So, siya natin, class, madalas nagagamit pag sinabing false work. So, siya yung mga pansuporta, halimbawa natin sa second floor, sa mga arcs, ganon. And, ang isa pang gamit nga ng wood is bilang forma. Ngayon kasi, class, meron na tayong mga steel tubes na ginagamit sa false work. Pero, kahit papano ngayon, may gumagamit pa rin, of course, ng wood. Okay? So, wood in construction. Wood to be used in construction work is commonly known as lumber. So, in North America. Pero dito din naman sa ating class, alam din naman natin na basta sa construction, lumber. Kaya nga, di ba pag bumibili tayo, coco lumber, good lumber. Elsewhere, lumber usually refers to felled trees. So, sa ibang lugar pala, class, pag sinabi mo na lumber, ganito lang yung itsura niya. Hindi pa siya yung naka-planks. So, sa ibang country, pag sinabi mong lumber, felled trees lang siya. Pinutol na puno. And the word saw planks, ready for use is timber. So, ito yung saw planks. So, ang tawag dyan is timber. So, pag nag-prepare kayo, portier lang pala. Hindi ko sure, pero meron kasing subject na timber design. So, wood has been an important construction materials since humans began building shelters and houses. So, kagaya nga na sabi ko kanina, nung unang panahon, kadalasan lang din naman ng mga bahay is made out of wood. And sa ngayon, kahit medyo modern na tayo sa ating mga construction materials, meron naman tayong tinatawag na sustainable living, kung saan mas ginagamit pa rin nila talaga yung wood. Wood is also used in the construction of bridges din. So, ito, isa siyang example ng bridge na gawa lang sa wood. Pero makikita nyo class, malalaking wood siya. And of course, sa panahon natin ngayon, nililimit din naman natin yung pagpuputol ng puno. Kaya, mas madalas ginagamit na natin yung mga steel. Pero, yung strength, na i-design din yan class. Kaya po pwede talagang gamitin yung wood for bridges. Seasoning of wood. Seasoning is the process of drying timber to remove the bound moisture contained in walls of the wood cells to produce seasoned timber. Seasoning can be achieved in a number of ways. Pwedeng natural or air seasoning at pwede din naman na artificial seasoning. So, bakit ba natin kailangang i-season yung wood? Kasi, meron siyang natural content na moisture, kung saan yung moisture na to is kailangang ma-expelled to preserve the lumber from shrinkage or decay. So, sabi nga natin, may dalawang ways para ma-season yung wood. Pwedeng natural or air seasoning and artificial seasoning. So, ano ba yung natural or air seasoning? So, air seasoning is considered as one of the best methods adopted in seasoning of lumber, although the period involved is relatively longer than the artificial seasoning method. So, paano ba ginagawa yung natural or air seasoning? So, lumber is piled outdoor where its length is sloped at about 10% of its length. Lumber is piled in a well-ventilated shed. Each piece is properly and evenly spaced from each other for free circulation of the air around the lumber. The uniform spacing of the lumber between each other in pile is arranged by using wooden or bamboo stick inserted between each pieces of lumber. The stick inserted between each piece of lumber not only serve as a spacer for free air circulation, but also prevents ants, worms, and various insects from living in between the lumber, subjecting the wood to attack. So, ganyan class yung itsura ng pag-season gamit yung natural or yung air. So, next naman is yung ating artificial seasoning. So, artificial seasoning, under this method, the lumber is stuck inside a drying kiln and then subjected to steam and hot air under pressure. So, artificial is the process being adapted for quick drying of wood. So, mas mabilis dito, class. But wood which undergo this process is considered quite inferior in quality as compared to those that are dried by natural seasoning method. So, dito class sa atin, pagka may nadadaanan kayo na tindahan ng mga Coco Lumber, Good Lumber, mapapansin nyo class, ano ba yung ginagamit nila? Artificial seasoning or natural seasoning? So, madalas class dito sa atin sa Nueva Ecija, yung natural or air seasoning. Madalang dito sa Nueva Ecija yung gumagamit ng ganitong method ng artificial seasoning. Kasi mas magastos siya class. And, yun nga, mas matibay pa rin naman. Mas mainam gamitin yung wood na na-season gamit lang yung natural or yung air. So, ito class artificial seasoning naman, may iba pa siyang uri. So, meron tayong forced air drying. So, ito siya class. Nasa labas siya, kaya nga lang, gumagamit pa siya ng pan para mas mabilis ma-dry. Nasa loob pa rin siya ng isang container, meron parang mga machine, and gumagamit pa siya ng fan para lang mas mabilis. So, another type ng artificial seasoning is yung kiln drying. So, under this process, the lumber is dried in a specially built room or chamber, wherein temperature and humidity as well as the circulation of air is controlled. So, meron pa class na isa pang uri. So, yun yung radio frequency dielectric drying. So, nag-search ako class, wala naman ganito sa Pilipinas. So, yung radio frequency dielectric drying is a very fast method of drying lumber using a radio frequency dielectric heat. So, drying through this process may only last for 24 hours as compared to that of natural air seasoning and other methods. So, pinakamabilis siya class. Okay, so yun yung mga uri ng seasoning. Pag sinabing seasoning, pagda-dry lang class ng wood, pag-aalis ng moisture niya. Okay. So, new domestic housing in many parts of the world is commonly made from timber frame construction. Engineered wood products are becoming a bigger part of the construction industry. They may be used in both residential and commercial buildings as structural and aesthetics material. So, dito class, in-introduce, meron tayong sinasabi na engineered wood. So, engineered wood is manufactured from scraps of lumber and byproducts such as sawdust that have been reformed using heat, glue, and pressure to make a usable solid wood alternative in an effort to meet the demands for construction materials that is lower costing but equally durable. The forest industry engineered several types of wood-based board products. So, class, ang isang example na to, madalas makikita natin, di ba yun sa mga cabinet ngayon? Dati kasi kapag gumawa ka ng cabinet, solid wood talaga yung ginagamit nila. Pero ngayon, class, lalo na yung easily, yung madaling ma-assemble or yung DIY na sinasabi, na pag binili mo sa Shopee or sa Lazada, ikaw na yung magbubuo. Mapapansin nyo class, ano lang siya, parang laminated lang na wood. Tapos yung loob niya, mga sawdust, yung parang pinagdikit-dikit lang siya. So that is an example of engineered wood. So maganda tong gamitin and napakaganda na na-introduce siya dito sa atin sa construction industry kasi para tayo nakakapag-recycle. Nakakabawas tayo dun sa mga posible pang pagpuputol ng puno. And sabi nga dyan, low costing siya, pero ang pinakamahalaga doon is equally durable pa siya. Ba? So, engineered woods are intended to be used as a substrate, which mean they are covered with a laminate or wood veneer. This is a construction material that has grown in popularity because of advancement in the engineered woods quality being produced today. So, ganito siya class. Kapag ka solid wood, ganyan yung itsura. Kapag ka engineered wood naman, So, meron tayong veneer, solid piece of wood, pwedeng plywood, sunod naman, solid hardwood. So, ganyan siya class, madalas. Kadalasan class ng mga tiles natin, lalo na yung, sabi ko nga, wood tiles, yun ay mga engineered hardwood. Okay. So, dito na tayo class sa ating Unit 8, Laboratory Test in Wood. So, let's have first our overview. This unit will discuss the proper procedure on how to conduct moisture content test of wood with accordance to ASTM Trifle 4.2. The test includes testing objectives, scope, apparatus required to use, safety and precaution for materials, apparatus, and equipment to be used, step-by-step on how to conduct test procedure, tabulation of data, calculation, and test result. So, activity tests are incorporated in the last part of test to ensure student will develop their practical skills. So, pagkayari natin class to mai-discuss, again, magkakaroon tayo ng activity. So, what are the learning objectives under this unit? So, first is to understand the use of laboratory hot air oven in moisture content test. Next is to discuss the proper step and procedure of moisture content test using laboratory hot air oven method and determine the standard size of wood specimen when conducting moisture content test. Next is to calculate the moisture content of wood using initial and final weight. And finally, we have to develop your practical skills by performing the test. So we have here the moisture content test for wood in accordance to ASTM Trifle 4.2 using laboratory hot air oven. So what is our testing objective? The moisture content test aims to determine the moisture content of wood and other wood-based materials in natural state condition, including its adhesive using oven air-dried method. So what are the scope of this test? This test is limited only for the use of laboratory hot air oven, and the specimen shall conform with the standard size of wood having a dimension of 35 mm long, 35 mm width, and 30 mm thick, or as prescribed by the ASTM and DPWH standard specification. So what are the apparatus required for this test? So first, of course, we need the wood timber board. So dapat in standard size na in-state natin kanina. Kailangan din natin ng porcelain dish or metal tray, aluminum foil, and digital weighing scale, at saka syempre kailangan natin ng laboratory hot air oven. So, bago natin i-conduct yung test, let's have some safety and precautions. So, before conducting test, use safety gloves and safety shoes and apron at the time of test. After test, switch off the apparatus. Make sure that the wood specimen is not dried. Equipment should be cleaned thoroughly before testing and after testing. Before conducting the test, make sure that no one is around 1 meter radius from the testing machine. So, test procedure. The following procedure was adopted in ensuring that the data to be recorded in moisture content test specimens was taken in an organized and consistent manner. So, una, igayak natin yung ating specimen na ang dapat na sukat or dimension is 35 mm long, 35 mm width, at yung thickness niya ay 30 mm. Susunod, i-check natin yung wood specimen kung may existing defects ba such as nuts and gum veins. Kung meron, i-replace na lang natin siya class. So next, after checking wood specimen, grab aluminum foil and wrap each wood specimen immediately. Next is make sure that the laboratory hot air oven and digital weighing scale is free from dust and clean. Get the wood specimen and weigh it individually. If one piece weighing less than 50 grams, cut one, two or more adjacent test pieces and weigh it together to make sure that the initial weight is more than 50 grams. So, dapat ang initial weight niya, class, is 50 grams. After weighing all wood specimen, take it and place it separately inside the laboratory hot air oven. Set up the temperature of laboratory hot air oven in 110 degrees Celsius plus or minus 5 degrees Celsius for at least 18 hours but not to exceed 24 hours. So, after reaching 18 hours, i-check natin, class, yung weight ng ating wood specimen. Ngayon, class, kailangan natin ituloy-tuloy yung pag-oven dry sa kanya hanggang sa marating niya yung kanyang constant na weight. So, when the constant weight is achieved, weigh it again for the final weight determination of each specimen. And record the data. Determine the moisture content of each specimen and the mean moisture content of the wood. So, dito, class, meron tayo yung table 11. So, table 11 are example data gathered from the result of moisture content test of wood using laboratory hot air oven. The type of sample specimen must be incorporated in your table. So, yung sample ng ating specimen, kung anong type siya, at dito natin siya, class, ilalagay. So, plyboard, marine board, plyboard, yun yung ginamit dito sa sample na to. So, sa table 11, lalagay lang natin kung ilan yung sample. So, dito, meron tayong tatlong sample na itetest. Dito din dapat nakalagay yung dimension ng sample, yung kanyang initial mass. Pag sinabi initial mass, yun yung weight niya bago siya i-subject to hot air oven, bago natin siya ilagay dun sa laboratory hot air oven. Yung final mass naman, class, yun yung weight pag na-achieve na yun niya yung kanyang constant weight. And then, mako-compute natin yung ating moisture content. So, ito, class. So, the dimension of sample specimen must be incorporated in your table. So, dito, class, ayan yung dimension ng ating specimen. Okay. So, next, to be able to determine the moisture content of wood, you need to consider the original or initial weight, initial mass of the given sample. So, dito, class, meron tayong 63 grams para sa ating sample number 1. Yung sample number 2 naman natin na marine board, meron siyang initial mass na 82. Para doon naman sa ating sample number 3, which is plyboard, meron siyang initial mass na 70 grams. So, nasunod niya, class, yung sinabi natin kanina na dapat mas mataas siya sa 50 grams. Okay? So, in addition, we also need the final mass of the given sample. So, ito na, class, yung mass after siya malagay dun sa laboratory hot air oven. So, for sample number 1, from 63, naging 57 na lang yung kanyang final mass. Ito naman sa sample number 2, na marine board, from 82 grams, naging 67 grams na lang siya. Doon naman sa ating sample number 3 na plyboard, mula sa mass niya na 70 grams, naging 64 grams na lang siya. So, determine the value of moisture content of wood. So, paano ba din-determine yung moisture content ng wood in percent? So, yung initial mass minus yung final mass ng ating specimen divided by the final mass of specimen multiplied by 100. So, for sample number 1, ang gagawin lang nating class ay 63 minus 57 divided by 57 multiplied by 100. So, we have 10.53%. For sample number 2, 82 minus 67 divided by 67 multiplied by 100. So, we have 22.39%. So, for sample number 3, 70 minus 64 divided by 64 multiplied by 100. So, we have 9.38%. Ayan siya. So, sa computation class, so ito ibinigay na natin kanina, yan yung computation ng ating moisture content ng wood. So, yung average or mean moisture content ng wood naman, makukuha natin kapag, yan, summation ng mga moisture content ng wood ng bawat isa, divided kung ilan ba yun. Okay? Average lang siya, class. So, thank you, class. Yun na yung end ng ating Unit 8.